Gauche Roland Consult PVEP Standardized Operation Steps. These steps are all according to 2016 version ISCEV standard for VEP. As the introduction in international standards, VEP is a regular visual evoked electrophysiological signal extracted from the irregular EEG activity generated on the scalp of the visual cortex layer and repeated and averaged to reduce noise. The electrical activity of the visual cortex is mainly activated by the central field of vision. VEP depends on the functional integrity of the central vision field throughout the whole visual pathway, including the eye refractive system including cornea, aqueous solution, lens and vitreous body, retina, optic nerve, optic radiation and occipital cortex. Therefore, the abnormal results of VEP may be caused by the abnormality of the above-mentioned related section, not limited to neurological diseases. Stimulating parameter. Firstly, let us look at the 1-degree pattern reversal VEP as the example. The stimulating pattern is checkerboard's reversal. The stimulating distance is 1 meter, the 19-inch monitor is fixed, the height of monitor is 300 mm, so we can get the visual angle in retina is 17 degree as the above picture. The low picture is the classic PVEP waveform. This is 15 minutes stimulating pattern. Electrodes position. According to the International 10-20 system, scalp electrodes should be placed relative to bone markers, in proportion to the size of the head. To set the electrode position accurately, a line is connected from the nasal root through the apex to the occipital tuberosity. The active electrode point is at 10% forward from the occipital tuberosity, that is Oz, which is the visual cortex region. Generally, the position of the active electrode can be defined as 1½ finger distance above the occipital tuberosity. A reference electrode is placed at the FZ point, which is 30% backward from the nasal, and is normally placed at the middle point of hairline. The location of the grounding electrode can be forehead, apex, that is CZ, mastoid, earlobe or earlobe link. All 3 PVEP electrodes were EEG skin electrodes. Patient preparation. Step 1. Clean the skin. Use a special skin cleanser to clean the skin where the electrode is to be placed, and wipe vigorously to remove oil from the skin surface. If possible, ask the patient to have his hair washed on the same day and tell him not to use cosmetics. Step 2. Connect the electrodes to the amplifier. Each of the 3 electrodes is connected to the port of the corresponding color of the external amplifier. Step 3. Place the electrode. First, dip the electrode into the electrode conductive paste. It should be noted that the conductive paste should be filled with the corresponding electrode cup. After the 3 electrodes are placed in corresponding positions in turn, they are fixed with adhesive tape. Step 4. Refractive correction. The corrected lens was placed according to the best corrected visual acuity examination result at 1 meter distance. Step 5. One eye covering. Check the right eye first, then the left eye. Cover the opposite eye during a monocular examination. In general, use a black eye mask or lens holder inserted into the black screen. Software operation steps. Select VEP-ERG. Select VEP multiply by 2. Enter the patient's first name, last name, date of birth, and click Store Patient to save the patient information. Click Yes to save. The international standard requires that the impedance should be less than 5 ohm. The difference between active electrodes and reference electrodes is less than 1 ohm. Otherwise, there would be large noise if the active and reference electrode impedance both exceeded the requirements. The ground electrode position should be wiped again with force. If the active or reference electrode impedance exceeded the requirement, to wipe the posterior occipital cortex or the hairline electrode position forcibly again to reduce the impedance until the impedance reaches the requirement. PVEP examination of the right eye using the eye mask to cover the left eye. Click the lower right start to start the examination, and check the PVEP right 1 degree, PVEP right 15 minutes twice in turn. Averages should be at least 50 times. The artifacts caused by a patient blinking or staring, fewer artifacts are better. PVEP examination of the left eye after the examination of the right eye. The right eye should be covered instead. The left eye examination was performed using the same procedure, and PVEP left 1 degree and 15 minutes was checked twice in turn. Result analysis. After the PVEP examination, click Analysis in the menu above to view the waveform. Note the upper left scale. PVEP generally selects 10 microvolt per div, and the scale can be adjusted by plus or minus in the lower right. Check the corresponding identification, especially whether N75 and P100 are marked at the corresponding trough and peak. If not, manual adjustment is required. And we should observe the repeatability of PVEP. The repeatability is good, the result is reliable. Click Save Examination and click Printout. Next step, we look at some real VEP cases. Firstly, we should check the patient information on the above number 1 red frame. Specially pay attention to the age. In this case, it is one adult PVEP waveform. Secondly, as number 2 red frame, we check the scales of y-axis. It is 10 microvolt in this case. It is reasonable for the adult PVEP because the amplitudes of PVEP in adult is about 10 microvolt in common condition. Thirdly, as the number 3 red frame, we check the peak time and amplitudes of P100, and compare them with the normal values showed in the table. In this case, binocular PVEP 1 degree and 15 minutes spatial frequency P100 amplitude and peak time were normal. The normal peak time of 1 degree spatial frequency P100 is about 90 to 110 millisecond, and the normal peak time of 15 minutes is slightly later than that of 1 degree P100 by 5 to 10 millisecond. In this case, the amplitude of P100 is more than 10 microV. Generally, the amplitude of P100 of children under the age of 15 years old are more than 20 microvolt, while one of adults are about 7 to 20 microvolt. In this case, the two spatial frequencies PVEP 1 degree and 15 minutes were repeated on both sides according to the international standard, and the amplitude and peak time consistency of the two repeats were good, which confirmed the high reliability of the results. For this case, we should check the items as the sequence number 1, number 2, and number 3 as the last case. In this case, PVEP results showed that left eye 1 degree and 15 minutes spatial frequency P100 had normal amplitude and peak time, and the two tests had good repeatability and high reliability. In the right eye, the amplitude of P100 of 1 degree spatial frequency was severely reduced by 2 measurements, and peak time is delay, and the repeatability of the 2 measurements of 15 minutes spatial frequency was poor, which could be considered as no PVEP waveform derivation. Gosh, Roland, worth having.